So I was in the middle of working on a video about my favorite depictions of Harley Quinn from over the years when I came upon the hashtag HarleyKissingIvy trending on Twitter. After looking into the controversy, there are two big reasons as to why people are talking. For one, lots of people weren't aware that Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy were ever a couple, and two, DC Comics was seemingly erasing it, or at the very least, ignoring it. Now, admittedly, things can get a little bit confusing since there are multiple Harley Quinns and Poison Ivys across multiple universes, and all of their stuff as a couple seems to have been in the comics, which is a medium that most people simply just don't read. So let me give a quick history of their relationship across the DC Comics brand. Harley Quinn has made multiple appearances in the spin-off comics for Batman the Animated Series, and it's here that I'm pretty sure was the first time that Harley and Ivy were ever hinted at being a couple. This was in 1997, which was 2 years before her introduction into the main comic universe in 1999, and trust me, the implied bisexuality didn't just stop there. However, for the main comic universe, things got a lot more explicit in the 2010s. Freaking issue number 2 of Harley's solo book after the DC Universe rebooted in 2011 gave us these two scenes of huge implication in the very same issue. Plus, they shared a direct and explicit kiss later that year when Harley tried snapping Ivy out of some amnesia. Around 2016 though, Harley and Ivy became a canonical couple in alternate universes like Bombshells and Injustice. But the main comic universe is where we got to see a lot more of them together, and is where Harley's bisexuality took center stage. So now that I've established without a shadow of a doubt that these two are a couple, let's talk about the controversy. So when I saw people outraged over hashtag HarleyKissingIvy, I initially assumed it was because they weren't included in this Valentine's Day post that DC made on Twitter, which would be pretty dumb. But we've seen people get massively upset over a lot less. A tweet can only contain a maximum of 4 images, and this post left out other iconic couples like Nightwing and Batgirl, so it's not like Harley and Ivy were the only ones that were getting shafted. I do, however, understand that it's disappointing that the only couples that were featured here were heterosexual, especially since DC is also heavily promoting their Batwoman TV show where the main character is a lesbian. Maybe people are mad about this Birds of Prey Valentine's tweet, saying, why spend Valentine's Day with one person when you can have a party? Again, there's nothing to really be mad about here. Poison Ivy hasn't been in this universe yet, there hasn't been much about this incarnation of Harley Quinn to imply that she's bi in the first place, and the entire movie is literally about her expressing her freedom from the Joker. So if anything, it makes a lot of sense why this particular Harley Quinn from this particular universe would be an icon for being single. Well, it turns out that this controversy stems from a lot of things happening back to back to back, which combine together to piss people off about the ship's status. So there's been this 6-issue miniseries that's been coming out that's appropriately named Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. The book is set in the main comic continuity, and as such, Harley and Ivy are a couple in it. However, they end up going on a violent road trip as they run away from a villain named the Floronic Man, who's trying to consume Ivy's essence. Because of comic book shenanigans, we find out that the Ivy that's been traveling with Harley for most of the miniseries wasn't the real deal, but rather a kind of shadowy copy that appeared in the second issue. When the real Poison Ivy reappeared at the end of the miniseries, she was pissed off that this doppelganger was able to take over her life, and she was equally pissed off that Quinn wasn't able to tell the difference between them. After a big showdown between the two Ivys, this ultimately broke the couple apart, and Harley Quinn was once again on her own. While I'm personally interested in seeing where this plot thread goes, I understand that fans of the relationship were hurt by this. It also does suck for representation that the most popular same-sex relationship in DC Comics was dissolved. It also certainly didn't help that shortly after the release of this issue, DC Universe tweeted this video on Singles Awareness Day. It kind of came off as rubbing salt in the wound or straight up making fun of their breakup. To make things even worse, DC announced a statue of both characters on that very same day, depicting their relationship at its best. But at the same time, they completely ignored the fact that they were ever a couple. We all know Valentine's Day is usually about celebrating love, and these two characters know what it means to be there completely for someone else. They're the epitome of what it means to be a loyal best friend above all else, and always a shoulder to cry on in times of need. Whether it's Harley's horrible breakups with the Joker, or her wanting to prove herself as an independent woman, Ivy is always there for Harley to be her #1 support. Likewise, as she she's demonstrated in the recent Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy miniseries, there's little Harley won't do for Ivy, including taking on the likes of the Floronic Man, Mad Hatter, and Batwoman. That is why this statue is the perfect Valentine's Day reminder that to love someone can mean many things, but above all else, it's to always be there for the people you deeply care about, in good times and bad. Wow, that is some serious, oh, they weren't gay, they were just best friends that lived together for their entire lives. Yikes. But I'm sure that some people are probably going to be asking, who cares? These are fictional characters, why should their fake relationship matter? Well, from my personal experience, I do often get attached to fictional characters, and maybe I'm just a sissy, but I have definitely felt some strong emotions when some of my favorite characters have died. Also, representation matters a lot to some people from marginalized groups. Although DC is filled with wow, God, so many bisexual women, I personally know quite a few LGBT friends that love to see Harley and Ivy live out their relationship. The thing that really baffles me, though, is that I honestly can't figure out why DC is trying so hard to break up and ignore this fan-favorite pairing. You might think it's to avoid homophobic controversy around Birds of Prey since the movie is already underperforming, but one of the movie's main characters is an openly gay woman. Likewise, the Harley Quinn TV show doesn't have them as a couple, but that hasn't stopped them from implying that it's a possibility. I mean, you could argue that DC is intentionally trying to manufacture outrage, but this really doesn't seem like it. It seems like this would be the bad way to go about creating this. But I guess only time will tell of where we're going to go from here. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. It was a pretty quick and short video because this kind of just came up, and honestly, I have to go and work on my other videos. I'm definitely going to still be putting out my favorite Harley Quinns ever very, very soon, so if you're watching this when it's already come out, go ahead and watch it, and if not, stay tuned for it. But anyway, I hope you learned at least a little something new, and hopefully, I'll see you next time.